first time I went out on the ocean was when I was about 16. I did a passage out to the Azores, and it was then where I really became very inspired by just the challenges presented by nature. You know, I felt a huge, almost a challenge to sort of wake up and find out what the weather was doing. It was actually a trip with my family, and just seeing the abundance of life just between Europe and the Azores was an incredible experience, and to see the diversity of the weather, and you know, not really knowing what is over the horizon. I think that's what I found fascinating. It's the challenge, it's the adventure, the uncertainty, and inevitably the apprehension of what you're going to discover from one day to the next. And what I find incredible is, you know, leaving our normal society and way of life, where you have laws, you have rules, to embark on the ocean and to really be able to discover new territories, and really harness nature as effectively as possible in order to get across the ocean as quickly as possible. When I first actually raced across an ocean, my first time across the Atlantic was in the Mini Transat, which is a very small boat. I actually was struggling to find budget to repair my generator. I had a diesel generator before the start, and instead I decided to embark just with solar energy, and it was then that I began to realise just how important it is to be basically self-sufficient on the ocean as well, not to be relying on finite reserves of fuel and energy. And I actually found it incredibly uplifting and invigorating to cross the Atlantic just on natural energy on my first crossing. So now there is 100,000 ships out on the ocean at any one time. It's enormous. The shipping industry is growing. There is a huge problem to address in air pollution and its contribution towards global climate change. So although shipping is still responsible for a fairly small percentage of carbon emissions, it is responsible for 10% of sulfur emissions globally, and almost as much as 30% nitrogen oxide emissions. Now these can lead to huge respiratory problems. It causes combination of sulfur and nitrogen causes global ocean acidification, which then has a huge effect on ocean's health and marine life. So really, we've seen a lot of measures being taken on land to control pollution, particularly in mobility and clean energies. But really what is being ignored is what's happening out there over the horizon, and really the stuff that people don't get to see, and that is these heavy polluting ships burning this very, very heavy bunker oil, and that this is what is escaping into the atmosphere and causing horrendous health hazards and things that have been linked to 50,000 deaths a year in Europe alone. So there's a huge problem out there, and we have to turn that around sometime. We have to stop this growth of air pollution. We have to control it, and we have to. It's up for us to also, you know, importantly, develop the future technologies in order to accelerate that change, to accelerate that uptake. And our project is about demonstrating what technologies are practical, scalable, accessible, in order to then start substituting these fossil fuel technologies of the past. And that is something we're beginning to do through our Project Energy Challenge.